Hi guys, it's Sherry. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Y'all, let's continue to dress up that desk. Stay tuned. So if you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. If you are a longtime viewer but you haven't committed to subscribing, I'd love to have you go ahead and subscribe. You know we're having fun on the channel. You know the projects are just amazing. You know you want to. So I'd love to have you go ahead and subscribe. So today, guys, we are going to continue making awesome accessories for the desk. In previous videos, we have made this large notepad, the small sticky note notepad, as well as a personal clipboard that coordinates with all of these. And I'm making these for my sisters, but you can make yours for whomever. You can even make them for yourself. Your workspace should be beautiful. It should be fun. And that's exactly what we're going for with this series. And today's project is no exception. It is awesome sauce, people. And I'm going to bring it in so that you can see exactly what it is. And it is a desktop holder for note paper. This one will hold note paper that is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. In here, I have some paper that is 3 by 3 that I took from another set that I have. And I placed it in this one so that you guys would get the look of how this actually works. And don't you think that this is just absolutely adorable? I am going to take the paper out so that I can hold it without the paper moving, and you guys can see just how easy it is to construct this. And I have a little pocket on the side, and this is perfect for holding those pens and pencils. Or if you wanted to add taller pieces of paper, you could certainly do that with this. And then I dressed it up even more with decorative feet. So now when it's sitting out on the desktop, along with the other pretties that we've made, you have a beautifully coordinated desk. This is really what designer desktops are all about. And that's exactly what we have created here. So let's make this. So guys, make sure that you stick around for the whole video, because somewhere during the course of this video, I am going to share a very ingenious cheater method with you for taking something store-made that you've already purchased or maybe thinking about purchasing and making it even more upscale. It is a very, very simple little hack, but you're going to say, wow, what a difference that made. So to make our project, we do need some chipboard. We're going to be using small chipboard pieces. So if you have scraps, pull them out, because now is the time for us to start using some of those scraps. You're going to need 2 pieces that measure 3 1/2 by 1/2 inch. You're going to need 2 pieces that measure 1 1/2 by 4 inches. You need 1 piece that is a 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. You need 3 pieces that are 4 by 4. And you need a piece that is 4 1/2 by 5. The chipboard type that I use will be listed in the description box along with a link. Then we're going to need just a plain piece of cardstock. It can be scrap, that measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. We might have to trim that one. Then we're going to need a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then for our decorative papers, we need 1 piece that measures 5 3/4 by 6. We need a piece that measures 6 1/2 by 7. And I have 2 12 by 12 pieces. So the first thing that we're going to do to start, we need to pull out the 3 pieces that measure 4 by 4. And we need to pull out the 2 pieces that measure 1 1/2 by 4, as well as our 2 12 by 12 pieces of decorative paper. And we are going to join the decorative paper together. So I am going to take, I'm using a 1/2 inch strip here. You can use a whole inch if you want. But we are going to put that down. And then I'll lift up this tape. Take my other decorative piece, but I want to make sure that everything is going in the same direction. So I'll take my second decorative piece and I'm going to put that down on top, just like this. And then I have chipboard on the backs of my 4x4 pieces and my 1/2 by 4 inch pieces. I am going to remove the tape and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so once we have the tape removed from the backs of our 4x4 pieces of chipboard and the 1.5 by 4 inch pieces of chipboard, we're going to start placing these down. And what I'm going to do is where I have joined these two pieces, when I place my chipboard down, I'm placing it so that the seam falls at the back. Normally I would place it so that the seam runs dead center, but this time I'm just going to make sure that it's on the back because I want to have some of this excess left over to be able to use on another project. And I think this might be my last two pieces of this beautiful paper. So I am going to take this and I'm basically feeling for where my seam is, and I'm going to put this down so that I have a border at the top and at the bottom. Then I'll take another one of my 4x4 inch pieces and I'm going to place it down, giving myself about 1/8 of an inch in spacing. Then I'm going to take one of my 1/2 by 4 inch pieces, place that down, giving myself about 1/8 of an inch in spacing, maybe a tad bit more. Then I'm going to rotate this so that I can work on this side, and I'm going to place this down, giving myself that same spacing distance. And then I'll take this piece and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'll trim off over here. And now I'm going to use my bone folder and go along my edges because this will help with minimizing cracking. And it's very important where we join the two pieces that, especially where we've got that joint, that we basically just massage it, because when your paper is double in thickness, it will have a tendency to crack. So I am going to do this all along this. And then once I've scored all along the edges, because I do have a double fold, I am going to just kind of massage my paper to fold over, and that will help with the cracking as well. I'm not going to do a quick abrupt fold like I would do here. I can do that there because I don't have that double thickness. But when I rotate it to this side, I'm basically just going to dance it down and let that paper get used to being folded. And then I'll take this end and I can do that very quick fold there. So now all I need to do is miter cut my ends. And then I'm just going to lay down some tape because it just happens to be handy. You can actually place glue along the edges if you want, but I am going to do this using tape. Okay, so once I have the tape on my edges, I am just going to take this and I'll very gently fold it over where I've got my joint, where I join the two pieces of paper. I'll get that folded, and then I'll get all of this smoothed down, and I'll go along the edges just to make sure everything is nice and straight. And you can see that I was able to avoid cracking. And I'll do the same thing over here. So I'm just very gently going to place it down where I've got that joint, and then I'll go back and stick down the rest. Now, if you do these things, your cracking might still occur, but you've basically done all you can to stop it from cracking, and you probably will minimize it a lot if you follow what I just did. So I'm going to take these pieces and fold them over. All right, guys, so I have my edges folded over, and I went ahead and added my tape for the inside liner, and I forgot to mention the inside liner to you guys. And we need two pieces. We need a piece that measures 12 by 3 3/4, and then I have a piece that is 4 1/2 by 3 3/4. We might have to do some trimming to this. Won't know until I try putting it down. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to take my 12 by 3 3/4 inch piece, and I am going to run my glue all along the edges of this piece. And then we'll get it stuck down. So I'll take this piece and I am going to just place it just like this. And I'll use my paper towel to get that initial stick. I'll use my big spatula to just go over this and smooth everything out. And then I'll start working my creases. And anywhere that I see bubbling, I'll just use my spatula to force glue in that direction. And guys, I got the spatula from Tuesday Morning, and it is a We Are Memory Keeper spatula, so you might be able to find it. It's just a large spreader. So then I'm going to hold this up, and what I'm looking for is I am looking to see if there are any portions of this that are not laying down flat, and I'm pleased with how that looks. So now I'm going to take this piece and I'll basically join it with that one. But in order to be able to do that, I need to add some glue, and it does not look like I need to trim any off. So that test fit that I just did, you want to do the same thing just to make sure yours is going to fit the way that you want it to fit. So then I'm going to place this down on top of that piece, and we will get that stuck down. And I'll go through the same process with my paper towel. Then I'll use my large spatula, make sure I've got everything nice and stuck, clean up my excess glue, and then I have a spine here that I just need to work and make sure that it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to stand this up, look at it, and again, I'm looking to see if there are any pieces of paper that are bubbling and not sticking. And everything looks fine with this, so I am going to set that to the side. Now I'm going to bring in my base, and my base measures 4 1/2 by 5. And then I have my base piece, which is 6 1/2 by 7. So I am basically going to remove my tape, and we are going to place this base down on the base cover. So I'll put it down in the middle, just like that. And then again, I am just going to go along the edges with my stylus to make sure that I can minimize cracking. Then I'll stand it up, fold it over, and just miter cut, just like that. So I have the tip of my chipboard and then about 1/8 of an inch in spacing on that paper, so I can do a nice, neat wraparound. All right, so now that I have my mitering done, I am going to take my glue, and this time I'm using glue because it just happens to be right next to me. And I am going to fold over, and we'll get this stuck down. You can use double-sided tape here if you want. Like I said, my glue just happened to be right there because I had just used it, so that's why I'm using it. And then I'll wrap this around. Okay, so once we have our edges wrapped around, I am just going to take a little bit of tape, put it right here in the middle, use my bone folder to get that stuck down, and then I'll remove it. All right, so once I've lifted up the backing on my tape, I am going to take my 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch base piece, and I am going to place some glue on the edges, and we'll get this stuck down. All right, guys, so the next part is going to be very simple, and it's amazing what we can do when we build boxes using the panel building method. You don't have to go through a whole lot to get a sturdy box. Using good glue, your box is going to hold. Trust me, they're going to hold if you do it properly. Okay, so we're going to take this square and we're going to put it down, our cube, just like that. And I am basically going to move mine so that, and I'm going to try to hold this up so that you guys can see. When I put it down, I am going to put it down with about 1/8 of an inch on my base. Then I'm going to have enough room over here to put my pocket. So the first thing that I'm going to do is place down some glue. And I'm placing the glue along the bottom. You want to put down enough so that it's going to hold, but not so much that you're oversaturating. And you can see that I'm doing a thin bead. Okay, so I have my glue placed along the bottom, and you can see that I placed a really thin bead, but it's thick enough that this is going to hold. So what I'm going to do when I put this down is I'll be playing around with it to get my shape as squared as I possibly can, but I am going to lay it down, coming in about 1/8 of an inch on the side, and then I'll place the other side down, and then I'm just going to play with it until it looks like it's a cube to me. And I'll just press it down for a minute just to get it to hold. And that way I can lift it up, look at it, and I'll still have time to play around with it before my glue sets up. So now I'll take this, and as you can see, that's not square. So I'm just going to start playing with it and moving it in and out until I have what I want. Okay, guys, so what I did was I played with it and played with it until I have a shape that I'm satisfied with and it's pretty square to me. And then all I'm going to do is just press down, and we're going to let this dry before we try doing anything else to it. All right, guys, so I am going to set this to the side, let it dry, and I want to show you a wonderful way that we can take a store-bought cube just like this and turn it into something more decorative. And this is exactly what I've done here. This is what I use. These are the papers that I took out and put into this cube so that you can see what it looks like. This is just a plain old block cube, but it's a beautiful box. Look at how pretty that box is. And it's a shame to waste it because I wanted the papers out of it for decorative purposes. But all we need to do is add some decorative feet to this, and then you have something that is even more worthy of sitting out on a desk. Pretty all by itself without the feet. But then when we put the feet on this, we truly do kick this up a notch. Now I got these from Tuesday Morning, and I think they were $3. Not the feet, but just the cube with the papers. And that is a phenomenal deal if you're not looking to color coordinate or do a designer series, but you just want something cute to set out. If you happen to run across one of these cubes at TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Marshall's, Ross's, wherever it is you shop, you might be able to get your hands on some of these very, very inexpensively. Then when you add some feet to them, you change that whole look. And this is another one that I got from Tuesday Morning. I think it too was $3. And you can see that it's a cute cube all by itself. But if we add feet to this, it becomes an even more decorative cube for sitting out on a man's desk. So this is a great little hack of something that's already made and already ready to go. We can just add our feet to it and we have something cute. So that's exactly what we're going to do to this. I'll let my papers fall out like that, and I am going to use my E6000 for this. Ordinarily, I would use my Reptile Glue, but what I noticed on these, they have a very waxy coating, and for some reason that coating was very resistant to my Reptile Glue. So I am going to just use my E6000, place my cute little feet down. Can you guys hear that rain? It's pouring. And I'm going to put it down here. And then I'll turn it around just to make sure I've got my feet nice and squared. And y'all saw how this looked before I added the feet. I'm going to let this dry, and then before I end the video, I'll come back and show you guys just how cute this is. So this is almost dry. While that's drying still, I am going to go ahead and make the side pocket for this. And I am going to be using my 5 3/4 by 6 inch piece and my 2 3.5 by 1/2 inch pieces of chipboard. Okay, so when we place this down, I'm going to take one of my 3.5 by 3.5 inch pieces, and I'm going to place it all the way at the edge or the bottom of my paper. And then I'll bring in my 3.5 by 3.5 inch piece, and I'm going to get it stuck down at the bottom as well, and I'm giving myself about 1/8 of an inch in spacing. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my last 3.5 by 1/2 inch piece. I'll bring it down to the bottom, and we're going to get that stuck down using the same spacing width. Okay, so once we have our pieces laid down, we are going to come to the end of one of the 3.5 by 1/2 inch pieces, and we'll cut. And when you cut, we're going to flare out. So I'll do that again. So I'm going to go to the top, come down, and then I'll flip it, and then I'm going to flare out. And the reason why we're flaring out is simply because when we fold it over, we have that extra space and we don't have to worry about having cut too close. So I am going to take some of my tape, and I'm going to place some tape just like this. I'm not going to cover the whole thing because I've got a solution for that, and my paper doesn't fit the whole thing anyway. And I am going to pick this up and remove this. So now I'll take this piece, and I'm just going to fold it over just like that. Use my bone folder to get that nice and crisp. Then you see how I have these tails hanging over? I'll use my finger blade just to remove that. And now I can turn this over, and I have my little side pocket that's going to be ready to go on this. Okay, so then I'm going to take my inside liner piece, which is 4.5 by 3.5, place it down to see if I need to trim any of that off, and I am going to need to do a trim of it, but I'm going to put it down first. So I basically just added tape to this, and I will take this and place it from the bottom up. Just like that. And then I'm going to smooth everything out. And now I'll use my scissors to trim off my excess. And now I can take this, fold it, and attach it to this to get my side pocket. And we are going to do that in the same way that we did the other, but this time we're basically placing our glue on the raw chipboard. So I am running a nice, healthy, but thin bead of glue on that raw chipboard. on 3 sides. And now I can take this, fold in my sides, just like this, and then I can position this wherever I want it. And all I'm doing is pressing it against the large cube and pressing down. And then I'll look at it from the top to see if I need to bend these in any to get it straighter. And then all we need to do is just let this dry. All right, guys, so we have our cube and side pocket all glued down, and I am going to add my feet, but Reptile Glue will hold this. So I am going to just add some more glue, and we'll put all of our feet on. All right, so while the feet are drying on our project, I wanted to go ahead and show you guys how this little cutie turned out. Remember, it was just a block with papers inside, and I added these feet, and the feet just elevate it. They just make it so much more than it was before. So again, you can take something very simple from the store that's ready-made and just dress it up just a little bit. You could even add some embellishments to this to make it even more so of a little statement piece. But I just wanted to give you guys a look at the finished one, because here is the feminine version of that same block. So we can take these, if you find them in the store and you want to make them just a little bit more than they are, add some decorative touches to it, and you have a beautiful piece to set out. And on to our finished project. My feet are nice and dry on this, but because I used E6000, these do need to cure for 24 hours. So even though they're dry right now, they need to really set up and harden for at least 24 hours before you put anything of weight in here, or before you really move it around a lot. I actually was going to add a third little slot here, and I didn't. So I have brought in everything else that we have made so far. And you can see that we have a wonderful, wonderful designer desktop set here. And there's so many other things that we can do to build on this and to have a complete designer workstation. So guys, I hope that you have liked this project. And if you have, please hit the like button. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, I would love to have you join my online crafting family. You guys have a great day. Happy crafting, and we'll chat later. Bye.